Contemplate embracing life through conceiving death by receiving a sagely transmission, which will transform your relationship with your own body, offering expansive health creation potential. Honor yourself, celebrate your strength, empower your transformation with your Yin-care. This is the Yin-care podcast, and I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising. Welcome everyone to the Yin-care podcast. So happy to have you here today. I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising, and I'm so deeply honored to be here today to share with you this very special episode titled Embracing Life Through Conceiving Death. That's right. In the last episode of the Yin-care podcast, I interviewed Tracy Ariely, end-of-life doula. And this was a very important interview and a segue into what I have really been wanting to bring forward to the Yin-care community. One of the main focuses of the Yin-care podcast is truly to provide inspiration for the next best steps for health creation in your life. However, I see and hear with frequency of many who are on this beautiful path of creating their health with new things they are incorporating into their lives, that as soon as they bump up against diagnoses that generate fear on a societal level, or a doctor who has taken a diagnosis or a possible diagnosis and is created fear from the ether, that they suddenly fall into a victim space, and fear and worry and depression come creeping in and ruling the entire realm. And there's no space here for health sovereignty or health creation when you're in that type of a vacuum. So this has now become a space where there is no room for that. And so I spent immense amounts of time pouring through old books and lectures that I've studied for the past several months, trying to formulate exactly how to transmit the information to you that I think could powerfully shift your beingness into a space where you will resonate with what I find is so urgently needed to convey to each and every one of you about the importance of embracing death so as to allow for full freedom in your health choices. So my discussion in its evolution has been structured with quotes and statistics, but in the end, basically, I went into a deeply meditative state and I contacted sages from a variety of realms and asked them to step forward to provide wisdom to you directly. So their voices are intermingled with mine, and you will hear me go back and forth between the pronouns of we and I. Imagine we are speaking around you as a group, sharing wisdom with you. Okay. This is the writing that has come forth, and it is with deep gratitude that I have received this to share with you. And I will read it to you in my own voice. It has been deemed of utmost importance that this portion of the episode be purely audio, as the words as they are spoken through my voice will have a resonance that is more powerful without the distraction of any visuals. I would like to definitely add a few other pieces to this at the end, and we'll pop the video back on at that point. So without further ado, I present Embracing Life Through Conceiving Death. Within the preservation of life, we will meet death. Death is a phase change. It is a modulation in our frequency where we are in a space of a lighter kind. We are no longer burdened by the density of a body. We recognize that there is sadness associated with the departure from the loved ones in which you have been accustomed to engaging. However, what you are calling life is not life. Life is never ending. It is a flow without a beginning nor an end. It circulates and waves and expands and contracts and blossoms and withers. The vehicle of the body in which you are graced to inhabit is not meant to be everlasting. It is a vehicle for experiential exposure to the beauty codes of this lifetime. You have the potentiality, when you are fully and completely engaged in the body, to feel the unbounded expansion of the beauty codes through joyful expansion of consciousness. You are gifted this body. What if you vowed to your body the vows of sacred marriage that you would honor in a relationship with another? What if you made that vow in sickness and in health until death do us part? What if you had this sacred marriage? Would you honor your vows? To have and to hold, to love and to cherish, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, from this day forward? How would you then treat your body if you were in a sacred marriage with it from this day forward? You are a star walker. You are not only here to live your life and your own best exhilarating and exciting divine purpose, but you are also here to create and expand with Earth. Your frequential expansion is her frequential expansion and is a universal and galactic expansion. It is so reductionistic to assume that the codes that you are given to express in this lifetime are only for you. In your small-minded, encapsulated view of what your body is. As Sophie Strand puts it so clearly in her book titled, "Your Body is a Doorway." Your body is that doorway to enter into and look around. Explore all of the hallways and corridors and chambers and secret passages. And how do those open to the earth and to the universe? How are you interconnected to all that is? If you are making choices about your health because you are afraid you might die, or your doctor claims to know all of the things about you and says you might, you are closing yourself off to those beautiful places to explore. Doctors give up so pitifully early. They are so limited in their thinking. They are not responsible for the original deception that you are not the powerful individual that you are. There has been a consistent and persistent intentional severing of your connection to the powerful you that you are. Doctors have lost their ability to see deeply into your soul and your life and your heart and your divinity. And so it now falls on you as the patient to even remind the doctor of their own humanity, of their own limitations. Through your acceptance that some things may not be serviced by them. And serviced is a good word for what they have to offer. Serviced as in the reductionistic term used to service a car. But to be truly and deeply of service through your own deep marriage vows to you. That is the service you can offer yourself. How will you honor your own health choices that are brought forward in the face of possible death? This deserves repeating. How will you honor your own health choices that are brought forward in the face of possible death? because death is something you are gifted from the moment you begin creating yourself as an embryo. As soon as you are ignited by love into this life, you are guaranteed that you will also die. Doesn't it seem that we would do justly to sit with that for a moment? We are all one with death. What does it mean to you to die? How might you embrace your own death? How can you sit with the death of your body, and how will you die? And can you die joyfully? Can you die freely and empowered and in expansion? What would dying in that way look like? Feel your body loosening the life force that is inhabiting it. How does your body shut down? Slowly, the elements depart. Have you ever watched a monk die? I have, online. It was so simple. It took like 10 minutes. Don't get me wrong, death without preparation can be extremely messy. It can be horrendously messy. It can really wreck your day and those around you. It can wreck theirs too. But it doesn't have to. And it doesn't have to if you clean up your life. Death can be the absolute culmination of your life. We talk about birth being a huge transition of empowerment for women, which has sadly largely been taken away by the medicalization of it. However, again, let's actually look at that. It has been medicalized because we are constantly communicating to the women who are with child that they are not capable and that they may risk death if they do not do it just so in the manner that the medical system suggests, or the manner that is suggested by insurance and litigiously minded midwives suggest. And yet the body is a doorway. The body knows exactly what to do. Even our stories passed on through midwives historically do not explain what our original knowing of birth may have been. How did we know how to birth? These old stories that have been passed on have been tainted to some degree. We didn't have midwives at a certain point. And how did we give birth? We were strong and we faced possible death, but mostly we lived. And when I tune into this, death by right of birth was extremely rare. Women know how to birth. They look at death head on and they hold it in their mouth and they breathe into the death and they transform it into life. And this is what we are suggesting that you do now. Take your conception of death, your conception, your ability to conceive death, and reshape and reform it and conceive of it anew. In the embracing of death. And think about that. What does it mean to embrace something? To hold it close to you, to feel it, to sense it, to breathe it. Embrace death. Embrace the dark, vast unknown, the emptiness that you feel it holds, and see the expansion within. See the lightness in the dark and darkness in the light. You see, there's nothing to fear. And therefore, in this embrace of your own death, you can more fully accept your life and your health choices. And you can then embrace your health. Embrace your health no matter what is there for you. Embrace it. Hold it close. Feel it. Feel all of the sticky bits that are stopping you from seeing clearly. Breathe into them. Feel the breath Loosen the pieces that are holding you back from seeing the fuller, bigger picture of who you are and what your potentiality is. See your beauty. See your profound expansion. And holding this close, feel your sacred marriage to yourself, your commitment to yourself as consciousness and biology combined. So let's take on the practicalities of what you may encounter in your own health choices that come forward. As you have this marriage, this sacred marriage to yourself now, you enter the doctor's office and you're informed of lab results that then generate a litany of protocols and procedures that are to follow for your own best interest, so they say, and that you will be scheduled to start these procedures immediately. Your sacred vows are not understood by the medical care provider. They are at a minimum not understood. They are definitely not respected. Your commitment to you will come as a surprise to the doctor who feels that energetically your body has already been gifted to him or her in an unsanctioned marriage. He or she has taken ownership. You are in that marriage to honor and obey. Your unwillingness to obey comes as a shocking surprise. And so it is so beautifully similar to leaving a bad relationship or marriage. In a dysfunctional relationship, sometimes the best thing you can do is to confuse the other party. What you will need to do is to prepare to share that you will get back to them, that you need a few days to go over the information and consider the options that have been presented. You may be incredibly fortunate with a doctor who may say, absolutely, and please let me know what other information you will need. More than likely, they might share with you the urgency of time constraints that you're under and how you will need to get started right away. You need to find your womb wisdom that you've been cultivating through the womb empowerments, and you will find that strength to say, thank you very much, and leave. You are not responsible for explaining yourself or your choices or your decisions. They are yours. Any level of engagement in that way will mostly be met with pushback. And that is a very deep cavern that you will be entering and will find much difficulty involved in getting back out unscathed. It is your undying commitment to yourself that is the thread that tethers you between the realms of life and death. It is this love of yourself as you are an emanation of the great consciousness that many call God, that infuses itself throughout the realms of both life and death. So with health concerns or health challenges or even health crises, again, the body is a doorway. It is a doorway to you opening and expanding yourself in your life. Every single man or woman that embraces these sticky and sometimes icky life situations are expanded by the experience. It is only when we are shut off, shut down, and disconnected from the body where we have never either taken the sacred marriage vows to our body or we were once in a loose marriage, but we decided to divorce our body, that we suffer. Open, expand, love. Bring yourself into a deeper, loving relationship with yourself in all of the murky mess that it could be. Some situations will be murkier and muddier than others. Just breathe. Start the facilitation of your breath in the body. Breathe into your womb space. Fortify your commitment to a constancy of love for yourself and the body which you inhabit. Love your body. And if you can't find love for your body, find like. And if you can't find like, go back to the breath. and just witness yourself and your state of likeness that you may be in with your body, and start to build a loving muscle of trust with yourself. Trust first that you can bring breath to your body. Trust that you can maybe hydrate your body. Trust that you can rest your body. Then start to trust with how you feed your body, how you choose thoughts, loving thoughts for your body. How about loving language for your body? Watch around you the life cycles of animals and plants as we in the Northern Hemisphere delve into spring. Watch and feel the bursting forth of springtime. Make notes of this season as it passes into summer and how it moves it then into fall and once again into winter. Witness the plants that you have watched grow all season when we get to fall and into winter, and appreciate their beauty, the way they wither and dry and scatter their seeds and change into compost. Bear witness to that. Take time to appreciate the many little deaths that are part of your daily life. The death of the sun on the horizon, the death of a piece of rotten fruit on your counter, the browning of a banana, the way it changes scent and texture. See the beauty in this process. Hear the mournful cries of coyotes during a full moon. Feel what the sounds of death are like. Appreciate that your food is death and your body is turning it into life inside you. The foods have chosen to be consciously shifted into fueling your beautiful human biology. Death is everywhere. The more comfortable and the more comforting it is to feel death, the more you will feel a relaxation in the body mechanism that is spirited with you. It will feel such tremendous giddiness at the now life choices that are presented. The doom and gloom and fear are removed, and only life truly pours forth. Now you can begin a journey of creating your health, free from the obstruction and interference of fear. Now your life begins. Now let the sacred marriage commence. All right, beautiful Yin-care family. Welcome back again after that. I feel like I personally get depths to that transmission myself each time I read it, and I've read it a good number of times now. What I wanted to add here is a whole bunch, and I do have notes, so bear with me if you're watching this and my eyes are going back and forth, because I do kind of want to follow along, bringing you through a process around this. I wanted to add here that there is a sort of programming and almost a spell that we can be under in a doctor's office. And it's super unconscious. There's a sense of doing what the doctor says is safe, is the safe way to go. And when I've been referring to the doctors here in this podcast, including the transmission portion, I'm referring to Western medical doctors, because in my experience, and again, you don't all know me, but I have a master's in health services administration. I worked with hospitals and medical groups, integrating different modalities of medical practice for many years. And for the last about 10 years, I've been working with my now husband, who was my high school sweetheart. He is a Chinese medical doctor. And there's a lot of complexities to what I've done to get behind that. But I've had a lot of experience basically working with care providers that are outside of the Western medical model. And so what's interesting is that basically what generally happens, what I was starting to say is that with Western medical doctors, when you come in there's this sense of not being able to question them about what they're doing. And interestingly enough, that's not what happens in other medical modalities outside of the Western medical model. In fact, most patients feel very comfortable asking questions. In fact, a lot of people are very skeptical and they ask a bazillion questions and expect a bazillion answers. But somehow that doesn't translate when we go to a Western care provider. We're suddenly debilitated. So that's what I mean. There's a spell that's cast over you when you walk in there. And it's really important to be aware of. So anyway, when you feel into that, there's fear, right? There's fear in there. And we don't want to feel like a bad patient. And this is mostly directed to women, this podcast. So we don't want to be the bad girl. So the repercussion of not doing what they say you need to do is it's the extreme of that would be death. And they will hold that over you. Okay. You see where I'm going with this? And I had that happen to me. I've had it happen multiple times. I'm sure all of us have to some degree, the fear factor. When my son didn't want, or I didn't want my son to be vaccinated for the meningococcal disease while he was in high school. In fact, had it been my full choice, I wouldn't have wanted him to receive any shots, any of my kids. But there were a lot of complexities to that I can go into at a later time and a later date on another podcast. But basically, the doctors were absolutely furious with me that this was a normal vaccine that would be given when you enter college because of the proximity of kids living in the dorms, although there's really, there's a lot there. Anyway, like I said, there's complexity to that. But my choice was no. And the doctor was furious with me. And he literally told me that I was possibly going to kill my son by not giving it to him. And so I have this conversation with the doctor recorded somewhere on a hard drive, and I still am determined to find it and dig it up and share it with you guys, because it was just like, it was an insane conversation. But what I did do is I had them place a letter in each of my kids' files at the office that said that they were not to receive any vaccine without my approval. And I referenced an attorney that I was working with at the time to just add some strength to the letter. Clearly, it would have been much easier to just go along, right? Just go along with what he said to do. It was easy. It felt safe. What didn't feel safe was stepping out of my comfort zone and owning that my son could die walking across the street, coming home possibly sooner than getting meningococcal disease, right? But the emotional bullying creates confusion in our decision-making ability, okay? So that's why I'm loving this idea that was brought forward in that transmission of the sacred marriage to our body. Anything that is trespassing this sacred terrain is not welcome, right? Our children, by their nature, are an extension of this sacred marriage to ourselves until they are old enough. So as mothers, we are having to hold down a loving fortress to honor their budding sacred marriages to themselves. And we have to stand for them and honor their bodies, showing them how we protect them from anyone or anything that is dishonoring and disrespecting their sacred biology. And the root of that is really teaching them to love themselves, right? And the same goes for holding that sacred fortress around our parents, our elders, who are not able to protect themselves from invasive, disrespectful medical staff procedures and other. And it's a lot, right? Because as women and mothers, we are the ones where often the health of the family falls. So in order to hold this space for everyone, we have to start with ourselves, okay? Accepting death as a part of life really can shift everything, because we take away the biggest bargaining chip of manipulation that gets held over us. If we can look at their threat of death and say, yeah, so what? So what that I might die? So what that my child might die? So what that my husband might die? So what that my mom might die? We are all going to die. I could die leaving your office. They could die of an infection produced in your hospital. So what about death? Exactly, right? But let's not just reduce it to accepting that you will die. That piece may come easier to you than the logistics of how you are going to die. Because even if you're opting out of the Western medical treatment plan, possibly, let's say because the treatment is too invasive for you, and say you do everything else in your capacity, but death begins approaching. Your body begins failing. How are you going to die? Are you going to go back into that system that automatically takes over your decision-making process? Or are you going to have these heartfelt reckoning conversations with your family and loved ones and decide how you would die at home? Or what does that look like for you? When would you feel like you'd want to enter into a medical system, right? It's a very robust piece of content to get your head, your heart, and your spirit around. But it's essential because really any decision you make is all about risk taking. And what level of risk are you comfortable taking around your health? And everyone is going to be completely different. So there's no judgment on what is right or wrong. What is right for you may be not right for me at all. So let the questions then be, how comfortable, first of all, am I with death and dying? And you might sort of go into this by exploring, what are my previous experiences with death and dying? When do I feel that Western medicine would be the right decision for me to interact with? All right. And on this, you have to think, am I willing to risk hospital side effects by going into the hospital, right? Though surgeries are one of the things Western medicine does well, they can downplay the traumatic impact it can have on your life. You often are not fully informed of all the possible side effects or negative outcomes that could happen, the risks, right? So then add on to those questions, how can I achieve my own informed consent? Because you're really not going to get that from them. That's something you need to acknowledge. You are not going to be getting a full informed consent of anything. So you have to start strategizing how this plays out. What does this look like? Everything, every time you go in there. Now you can make real decisions. And I really wanted to make this next part clear. You may leave a physician's office with a diagnosis and be educated on their suggested protocols. And you may go home and do your research and then decide that what they are suggesting is perfect. It's the perfect choice for you. And that is a total possibility. There is no judgment in saying that you should or shouldn't use Western medicine. All that is being said here is to come into a space with your womb wisdom, your intuition that you're developing. If you are participating in the womb empowerments, if you've signed up for that, where you are making true, honorable decisions that reflect the sacred marriage you have with your body. People always reference that they would go to a Western doctor if they broke a bone. That's something most people would say. But maybe you can go and get it scanned, whatever type of scanning they're doing, right? And learn about the break and do your own research to heal the bone. My son's girlfriend did that. And I have another woman who has stepped forward and is willing to come on the podcast to share what she did to heal a broken bone as well. So it's not to say that even because of that, people always use that as a caveat. Well, I'm so, grateful that Western medical care is there for blah, 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 X, Y, or Z. But have you really explored everything? I'm not saying, and here, I'm just not going to even give the caveat. I'm not even going to do what everybody else does because it makes me crazy. So empower yourself, educate yourself, Provide yourself with your own informed consent. Do your own research around whatever it is. So are you starting to get why embracing death and honoring your sacred marriage to yourself will start you truly down the journey of actual factual health creation for yourself? By honoring your sacred marriage, you are getting out of the Cartman drama triangle of perpetrator, victim, and savior. If you have to enter the system that victimizes you and you're not fully equipped to navigate it, you will be that victim. There will be a perpetrator, and you will then see anything that gets you out of there as a savior. You can really come into your own true sovereign health power by simply sorting out how to always be devoted to your sacred marriage to yourself. I didn't even dive in here to how your spirituality or faith may play into your perceptions and acceptance of death. It's like all of these real conversations have just been totally glossed over, right? You guys, this is a conversation that has really not been had. And there are so many layers to understanding, knowing, I should say, just really knowing how you feel about your death and dying and having that conversation with your family. And not having these conversations really leaves us totally and utterly unprepared to actually live. We're living in a false reality if we're not having an inner sense of the continuum of life into death. So how do you explain how someone dies after doing everything right? I don't know, say somebody is super healthy, you feel like they're just amazing. They've taken really good care of themselves as far as you can see as an onlooker. Everybody has different qualifications for what that is, right? And they die. And how do you feel about that? And it could be maybe there's a lot of ways, again, that we would want to be sucked into that drama triangle of a perpetrator and a victim and a savior, right? And then, of course, there's always someone to blame in that triangle. But if there's really no logical reason for why they died, then why did they die? So for me, what that would be is I would say that their life contract is fulfilled. And if that bothers you, and I say that, why? Why does it bother you? I'm really not being flippant. My spirituality allows me to have that sense of continuum, that life is in that beautiful, as the transmission said, that beautiful circular ebb and flow, the coming and going of everything. And so it doesn't mean I would not be sad and emote and possibly be very devastated at times, depending on my proximity to this individual that passed. But I have a context for appreciating the cycle of life. So have you sat down with that? And, everybody's got their own view too. I do want to add, my parents would say they're atheists. So to them, it's just over. But I can honestly say that this creates fear, not connecting with death. There's a lot of, they're 85 going on 86. Go dad. Go dad and mom. They're so cute. They're the same age. Really sweet. I love them so much. I'm going to go get to see them. I'm doing this really quickly so I can get this done because I leave in a day and a half now to go check in on them. So I'll maybe be able to report back. In any case, when you don't have some sense of what you think happens when we die, some way to frame that, then it does influence your level of risk that you're willing to take in your preservation for life. So that's just something to be in the know about yourself. It doesn't mean that's good. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I can say for me, having a sense of spirituality that has been a lifelong thing for me. Of course, as I just said, I was raised with atheists, and I've probably been the most deeply spiritual, crazy for my parents, right? But for me, it's allowed a sense of relaxation and under you just knowing that there is a flow to everything. So anyway, that's important to take a look at, right? Yeah. And when you, let's see, what was I going to say here? When you step into this way of being, you're not in a sense of blaming anyone else. Like I was talking about someone who's done everything right? Everything right for their health, and something happens. And when you really when they've really owned their own life too, right? If they made their own choices, you can honor that for them. They've made their sovereign choices, and they're dying true to themselves. And when you step into this, you no longer play that blame game of somebody else being responsible. It's just you get to own everything. And I can't even tell you, it feels scary. You have to really walk through the fear at first, that first bit. But then you just feel so powerful. Like you can make whatever choices you make wisely and knowledgeably. And there's such a greater fullness to your life. So consider that. It's really, really profound. So I also have an upcoming interview with Andy Schoonover of Crowd Health coming forward, and we can get into some of these big questions about how to start considering more freedom around how you access health with traditional methods of health insurance, without traditional methods of health insurance, because he has such a great plan that I'm so excited to share with all of you. For me, I went all in. I chose roughly 12 plus years ago, when I was going through my divorce, to not continue participating in paying health insurance. And that's when I really had to get comfortable with taking full and complete responsibility for everything related to my health and owning all of the repercussions. And part of it was that I was so committed to other forms of medicine that were not Western medicine. That was my life's passion. And I have always been just so committed to learning about my body and about my health and about how to take care of myself. It's been a deep passion of mine that's been just woven through everything that I've done. So it was like the final piece for me to just go, okay. And I can't wait to share this with you, because I'm going to reframe everything as far as health expenses. I'm going to show you, I'm working out what I spend on my health on a daily, monthly, yearly basis that employs different modalities to create my health and create my longevity, instead of spending them on what if scenarios of health insurance. But I really love what Andy's doing. I feel like it's a great step to take, and we're going to learn all about it. Yay. Okay. So let's see. All right. This feels complete right about here. And I'm going to link in the show notes a space to sign up for a webinar I will be offering, date to be determined, called 7 Critical Steps to an Empowered Relationship with Your Healthcare Provider, followed by a longer course that I'll be offering titled How to Cultivate a Trusting Relationship with Yourself and Your Healthcare Practitioner to Amplify Your Womb Health. And they're going to be amazing. And hopefully this little podcast talk today has given you some insight into where this webinar and the course might go. It's going to be really powerful. So please consider signing up for notifications on these courses. And you can do that by going straight to www.yincare.com and click on courses, and you'll find them there. You can sign up for the notifications that will keep you in the loop as to when they will be offered. I'd also like to inspire you, if you haven't already, to please sign up for those womb empowerments that I was talking about. The link will also be in the show notes, but it is available as a pop-up on the yincare.com website. So if you just happen to go there, you can click on that and sign. It is a really special meditation and printout that I've put together that really acts as a tool to strengthen this sacred marriage to yourself. And I developed it for me, actually, and it's a longer story, but I developed it, gosh, I don't even know when I started it. I want to say probably like over the last 20 years, just really talking to myself and knowing that I was dealing with a lot of really challenging things in my life, raising young kids and going through a really difficult ending of a marriage of 17 years, and creating these powerful statements that I would say to myself really built this sense of confidence that I was worthy of the trust and love that I deserved. It is a great way to honor this. If you're not ready to take your sacred marriage vows, it will really boost your love for yourself, that you will likely want to be doing that. Okay. And if you did receive something from this episode today and you believe others you know will benefit, please do share this with others. The Yin-care podcast is newer and we would love to expand the listenership. We are quite well known for Yin-care's herbal wash, but the podcast is new. If you're watching on YouTube, please like this episode and subscribe, and even sign up for notifications, and definitely share it around. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave a review or a comment on the episode. Any interaction would be so incredibly welcome. So thank you so much in advance for that. Also, be sure to check out our Womb Wisdom store on yincare.com. We have our regular store with our signature herbal wash and menstrual calendars and my favorite foot peel and menstrual pads, the glad rags that are the cloth pads. They're amazing, and some other things. But what people know us for is the herbal wash, and it's used for what we refer to as damp heat, or toxic heat conditions, in which a woman can develop things like yeast infections, bacterial vaginosis, or even HPV. And so I will do more on that. We'll be busting out with some things that are really more educational on how to use that product. And if you ever have any questions when you're purchasing it, you can always email us at info@yincare.com, and we can hopefully give you some more detailed information. If we do feel like you need to be working with a practitioner, we have an awesome network of practitioners that are part of our wholesale practitioners. And they've been working with Yin-care for, we've been bringing it in over 20 years. So it's a fantastic product. It's got so many uses. It's really a must-have in your medicine cabinet. So many people call me all the time and are like, I just put Yin-care on everything, or it is the thing I have to have in my medicine cabinet. So anyway, we can talk more about that. So check out the Womb Wisdom store. And also we have an affiliate store on the website now, and we'll be slowly adding to that store. But right now we've got the Eru woolen products. And I did interview the owner and creator, Zoe Daly, previously on the Yin-care podcast. As well, we also have the Starfire Wisdom book featured there. And I recently shared my Starfire Wisdom reading group with you all on the Yin-care podcast. So definitely check that out. It's a very, very, very powerful book. Everything on the affiliate store will have discount codes to use, so it'll be super easy to find there. If you are a practitioner and are interested in opening a wholesale account to sell Yin-care's herbal wash, or already love and recommend Yin-care, we have an amazing practitioner program called Yin-care Ambassadors. And it's way more than just promoting our herbal wash. It's about honoring the Yin-care Ambassador Code commitment as it relates to women's health. And so I thought I would just read that to you because it's really powerful. The Yin-care Ambassador Program Code is this: I commit to inspire in my patients the memory of their own intuitive wisdom for creating health. I commit to do what it takes to teach my patients how to trust in themselves once again. I commit to knowing what peace in the body means, as knowing peace internally creates peace externally. I commit to my own health journey towards a deep and powerful longevity that will inspire my patients for their own potentiality. I commit to the study of medicine and associated wisdoms that assist me in being the very best care provider I can be for my patients. And I commit to working together with others who are similarly committed along this path in a celebration of a joyful journey of transforming medicine as we currently know it. So that is really exciting. We're just getting started. There's going to be a whole network of our practitioners on the website and featured practitioners. And I'm really excited that some of these ambassadors are going to step forward and be on the podcast, and you'll get to meet them and know their practice and who they are, because they're really cool. So that's just getting going. So if you are interested on that, there's a link at yincare.com to learn more under the menu bar item about. So read through that and sign up if it's in alignment with you. We would so love to have you. And lastly, I'm going to also link an amazing couple of forms that I've created for you to fill out. The first one is called the Health and Medical Administration Incident Report. And this provides you a place to report any incident where you have been bullied, coerced, or had your health mismanaged, or not received informed consent, any and all of the above. You can read the link. It'll be in the show notes, and it's self-explanatory. But I really wanted to give people a space to feel like they could report incidents that were transpiring that were not in integrity with healing. So that will be linked in the show notes. And there's also a form for you to complete if you have chosen to go on your own sovereign health journey and honoring your sacred marriage to yourself in defiance of recommended medical advice. And I would really love to hear these stories, as I'd like to bring people who have chosen their own path in the face of bullying and coercion to normalize these actions on a societal level. So again, you can find those links in the show notes as well. It'll be great to have you complete those, and let me know how filling those out goes, because if we need to adjust them, they're very new, we can make some adjustments. So you can give us some feedback too. All right, everyone, leave us a comment wherever you're listening to this. Let us know what you think of this episode. We'd love to hear. Let us know what other topics you'd like us to cover as well. And until next time, my dears, my beautifuls, honor yourself and your sacred marriage to yourself, and celebrate your strength and empower your transformation. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me today. You've been listening to the Yin-care podcast, and I'm your host, Margaret Jacobson, the Mother Rising.